What happens when your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did? When they assumed you'd always be there, always answer the call, always bend just enough to give them another chance. But one day, you vanish. That's when their confidence shatters. That's when the comfort they thought they owned disappears. And suddenly the silence becomes unbearable. They can't handle it because silence has a way of cutting deeper than words ever could. Your absence isn't just empty space. It is a mirror, forcing them to face the truth they ignored for so long. You were the anchor, the source of energy, the steady presence holding it all together. And when the anchor is gone, everything begins to drift. They thought you were replaceable. They thought you were the one who needed them. But absence reveals reality in a way presence never does. When you're gone, they finally see what you were worth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." Your absence is not a weakness to be ashamed of. It is proof of your strength, your ability to stand without leaning on anyone who undervalued you. And here's the truth. People cannot handle your absence when they secretly depended on your presence for their own stability. They might not admit it, but they thrived off the attention you gave, the reassurance you provided, the energy you poured into them. Take that away, and they are forced to sit in the silence of their own emptiness. That silence burns because it shows them what they never gave back. This is the paradox of power. When you are present, people may overlook you because they assume you'll always remain. But the moment you walk away, you reveal the weight of your existence. Your absence is the test that separates those who respected your presence from those who abused it. And when they can't handle your absence, it's not because they miss you. It's because they realize they've lost something they never truly valued until it was gone. That is the power you hold. Walking away is not an act of surrender. It is the boldest declaration of self-worth. Anyone can beg to stay. Anyone can plead to be chosen. But it takes real strength to step back and choose yourself. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Your absence shows mastery. It shows control. It shows that you are no longer driven by the fear of being alone, but by the courage of knowing your value. And that's why they can't handle it, because deep down, they realize they never had power over you. This video is your blueprint for reclaiming that power, for learning how silence can become your greatest weapon, how self-control transforms pain into freedom, and how walking away without fear makes you untouchable. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments right now. My absence speaks louder than words, because today we're going to uncover 8 powerful truths that will show you exactly why they can't handle your absence, and how that silence becomes the fuel that builds your strength. Number 1, your silence is their punishment. Epictetus once said, "Silence is safer than speech." And he was right. Silence is not emptiness, it's power. When you go silent, you create a storm inside their mind that no words could ever create. They expected the usual cycle: explanations, pleading, desperate attempts to fix what they broke. They thought you would argue, cry, or chase. But instead, they're left with nothing. No response, no reaction, no access to your energy. That absence of noise is unbearable because it forces them to face themselves without your distraction. Silence becomes the punishment they can't escape, a mirror that reflects their actions back at them. Every day you remain silent, the tension inside them grows heavier. The comfort they once abused turns into regret, because they can no longer hear your voice to reassure them. And in that silence, they begin to understand that your presence was not just convenient. It was rare, it was grounding, and it was powerful. This is not manipulation, and it's not a game. It's the natural consequence of underestimating someone who refuses to be disrespected twice. Silence is discipline. It's the proof that you've chosen dignity over reaction and restraint over desperation. People expect chaos when they hurt you, but when you answer with nothing, they have nothing to fight against. They're left alone with their own thoughts, their own guilt, and their own emptiness. That is punishment enough. Your silence doesn't just withhold attention, it rewrites the power dynamic. Suddenly they realize that the one who speaks less holds more control. The next time you feel the urge to break your silence, stop and remind yourself what silence really means. Every message you don't send, every call you don't make, every explanation you withhold, it doubles your value. Because silence tells them what words never could, that you do not need to explain, justify, or beg to be seen. You already know your worth. They only realize it when your absence makes them taste the reality of losing you. So hold that silence like a weapon. Protect it because it protects you. Number 2, your absence creates scarcity. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Think about what that means in the context of relationships and human behavior. People never appreciate what they have unlimited access to. When you were always present, always available, always answering the phone or showing up when they called, your value became invisible to them. They assumed your energy, your time, your love were resources that would never run out. But the moment you take that away, the scarcity sets in. Scarcity awakens desire. Suddenly, what they once ignored becomes precious. They replay your old words. They remember your laughter. They relive moments they thought they could always come back to, but now they can't. Your absence creates a hunger they didn't even know existed until you were no longer around to feed it. This is human psychology. We desire what we can't have. We chase what is rare, and we regret what we took for granted only after it's gone. Your absence forces them into this exact cycle. It exposes the truth that your presence was never ordinary. It was extraordinary. They just couldn't see it when it was freely available. Now that it's scarce, its value multiplies in their mind. And here is where your power lies. By controlling your presence, you control the value they assign to you. The more rare you become, the more they realize what they lost. Stop giving constant access. Do not allow people to treat your time and attention like an endless supply. Limit your availability. Pull back when you feel your presence is being taken for granted. Don't respond instantly to every call or message. Don't show up just because they suddenly decide to notice you. By making your presence rare, you raise its price. And people always respect what comes at a cost. When your energy becomes something they have to earn instead of something handed out for free, they begin to cherish it. This isn't cruelty, it's balance. You are teaching them through scarcity what they should have valued all along. Number 3, you show them you're not dependent. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That single truth cuts through every illusion. Dependence on another person for happiness is the chain that keeps most people weak. They live in fear of losing attention, fear of being abandoned, fear of not being loved back in the same way. But the moment you step away and prove you can stand tall without their approval, you shatter the very expectation they built about you. They thought your world revolved around them. They believed you needed their presence to feel whole. But instead of breaking, you rise higher. That is a shock they cannot process. Your absence proves a deeper point. It shows that your identity, your confidence, your purpose do not depend on anyone else's recognition. When you don't chase, when you don't beg, when you don't fold just because they withdrew their attention, you hold up a mirror they cannot escape. That mirror shows them the uncomfortable truth. They miscalculated your strength. What they believed was dependence was actually patience, and once your patience ended, you had no problem walking away. That kind of resilience is rare, and it unsettles anyone who expected your collapse. The power of detachment is not about bitterness or proving a point. It's about freedom. When you detach, you are not cutting yourself off from love or connection. You are cutting yourself off from the illusion that you need someone else to validate your existence. Your absence screams louder than words. I am complete on my own. And, ironically, that independence makes you even more attractive, because people are drawn to strength they cannot control. Every time you feel the urge to reach out, redirect that energy into building yourself. Read books that expand your mind. Train your body and sharpen your discipline. Create something, whether it's a skill, a business, or a passion, that leaves a mark on your life. When you channel your energy into self-growth instead of dependency, your life begins to bloom in ways you never imagined. That flourishing is undeniable proof that you never needed them to begin with. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am complete on my own. Number 4, your silence builds respect. Respect is never given to those who beg. It's earned by those who know when to step back with dignity. Epictetus reminded us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Those words are a blueprint for strength. If you want to be respected, you must act in ways that demand respect, not in ways that beg for it. Silence is one of the strongest tools you have, because silence shows control. It tells the world you don't need to explain, you don't need to argue, you don't need to fight for space. You simply hold your ground. When you stop explaining yourself to those who undervalue you, something shifts. At first, they might mock your silence, thinking you'll return as you always did. But the longer you stay still, the more they realize your silence is not weakness. It's power. You refuse to chase. You refuse to prove your worth to someone who failed to see it on their own. That is when respect begins to form, even if they never say it out loud. Respect is not about making them like you. It's about forcing them to recognize your strength, even if only in their private thoughts. Your silence disrupts the cycle of disrespect. Most people believe they can keep treating others poorly because those people will always return. But when you don't, you force them to rethink everything. They see that you are not dependent, not fragile, not desperate. You are solid. You are self-possessed. And whether they admit it or not, they begin to admire the restraint it takes to stay silent instead of breaking. The key is discipline. Every time you feel the urge to break silence, pause and ask yourself, does this raise my value or lower it? That one question will save you from countless moments of weakness. Because the truth is, every unnecessary message, every desperate call, every attempt to convince someone of your worth lowers it. But every time you remain silent, every time you choose dignity over desperation, you stack respect on your side. Hold your silence like armor. Use it as proof that you respect yourself enough not to chase anyone who disrespects you. Let them come to terms with the echo you left behind. Number 5, you shift the power dynamic. Seneca said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Power has nothing to do with domination over others. It begins with domination over yourself. When you choose silence and refuse to return, you instantly flip the script. They thought they had control, because in the past you reacted, you explained, you chased. But now the game has changed. By mastering your emotions and stepping back, you reclaim the position of strength. The truth is simple. The one who needs less always holds the power. If they expect your attention and you no longer give it, the balance shifts in your favor. Suddenly, they're the one wondering why you haven't called, questioning whether you've moved on, replaying old memories, and searching for signs of your presence. Your absence forces them into uncertainty, and uncertainty is power. It keeps them restless because they no longer know where they stand with you. Every moment you don't respond, you demonstrate mastery over yourself. You show that you are not a slave to impulse, not trapped by the need for validation, not controlled by the urge to fix what's broken. Instead, you move with patience and discipline. That composure unsettles them more than any angry message ever could. They can fight words, but they cannot fight silence. Silence leaves them powerless because it denies them the reaction they crave. The longer you remain silent, the more the balance tilts. They lose grip over you while you grow stronger in your independence. It becomes clear who is truly in control, not the one demanding attention, but the one who withholds it. And make no mistake, this is not about revenge or cruelty. It's about refusing to give away your power. It's about showing that you own yourself so fully that no one else can shake your center. Stop reacting. Whenever the urge to reach out rises, breathe and remind yourself. Every response hands them control. Every silence keeps it with me. Hold your ground. The one who needs less wins. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control myself, and that makes me powerful. Number 6, you create space for healing. Absence is not only for them, it's for you. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. When you step away, you don't just deny them access. You give yourself the greatest gift possible, the freedom to heal without interference. As long as you are entangled in constant messages, arguments, and emotional chaos, your mind cannot breathe. Distance clears the noise. It allows your thoughts to settle, your emotions to balance, and your heart to slowly strengthen again. This is where true growth happens, not in the middle of endless conversations trying to fix what's already broken, but in the silence you create for yourself. Absence is medicine. It's the pause your spirit needs to stitch itself back together. When you step back, you start seeing things with clarity. Patterns you ignored before become obvious. Behaviors you once excused now reveal themselves for what they truly were. Pain begins to turn into wisdom because you've given yourself space to process it. And understand this. Healing is not weakness, it's power. Every time you choose to be alone rather than run back to something that hurt you, you prove that your strength outweighs your wounds. You are teaching yourself that peace matters more than chaos, that dignity matters more than temporary comfort. The silence that feels heavy at first slowly transforms into lightness. You discover new parts of yourself, new abilities, new passions that were buried under the noise of chasing someone else's approval. Healing in absence also makes you dangerous in the best way possible, because once you've rebuilt yourself in silence, you come back to the world with a calmness no one can shake. The same situations that once broke you now look small. The same people who thought they had power over you now realize they no longer do. Your absence has given you the strength they never expected you to find. Use your silence to grow stronger. Journal your thoughts so they don't control you. Meditate to calm your mind. Train your body to build discipline. Feed your spirit with knowledge and reflection. Let the space you've created be the furnace where pain turns into power. Number 7. You force them to reflect. Epictetus said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." This truth becomes painfully clear when you step away. Your silence and absence create an echo in their mind, a space they cannot fill no matter how much they try. At first, they may distract themselves, surround themselves with people, noise, or meaningless habits. But eventually, the quiet sets in, and when it does, they begin to reflect. Your absence becomes a mirror they cannot avoid. They replay the words they said, the choices they made, and the opportunities they threw away. They wonder why you no longer answer, why you no longer chase, why you seem unshaken by the void they created. Reflection turns into self-doubt. Questions rise in their mind. Did I push too far? Did I take them for granted? Why do I feel their absence so strongly? These questions grow heavier each day, and the weight is something only they can carry. Understand this. People rarely reflect when you keep giving them access. When you constantly explain, chase, or argue, they don't have the space to feel loss. But the moment you withdraw, they are left alone with nothing but their thoughts. That silence becomes louder than any words you could ever speak. And the longer you stay consistent, the sharper their reflection becomes. This isn't about revenge, it's about truth. They are forced to confront what they didn't value when it was in front of them. They begin to realize that attention is not guaranteed. Loyalty has limits, and once someone truly detaches, they cannot simply snap their fingers and have them back. That realization cuts deep. Your absence teaches them a lesson no conversation ever could. Every action has a consequence, and the cost of underestimating you is living with the regret of losing you. The power of this reflection isn't in what you do, but in what you no longer do. You refuse to give them the comfort of your presence, and in that void, their conscience finally wakes up. Stay consistent. Don't give mixed signals. The clearer your absence, the sharper their reflection. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My absence makes them reflect. Number 8, you prove you've chosen yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Your absence is not just a reaction, it is a declaration. It's the moment you step away from anyone who undervalues you, and instead of chasing approval, you chase your own growth, your own peace, your own standard of living. Choosing absence is choosing yourself. It is saying, without a single word, that you will no longer tolerate half-love, disrespect, or being taken for granted. You are setting a line, and crossing it is not an option for anyone. When you remove yourself, you show them that your life has a center that does not revolve around their whims. You demonstrate that your happiness is not contingent on their presence. They may have expected you to bend, to beg, to justify yourself, but instead you rise above, unwavering. That choice is magnetic. It is a silent force that commands respect and demands reflection, because it cannot be ignored. Choosing yourself is not selfish, it is courageous. It is the act of putting your value first, proving that your time, attention, and energy are not disposable. This is the ultimate form of self-empowerment. By prioritizing yourself, you create an environment where you cannot be diminished by anyone else's actions. You reclaim your emotional sovereignty. You refuse to allow someone else's lack of appreciation to dictate your worth. Every day you uphold your boundaries, you reinforce a truth that can never be erased. You are not dependent on validation, and you will not shrink to fit someone else's comfort. Start by defining your standards. Write them down. Decide what you will never tolerate again, and make a promise to yourself that settling for less is no longer an option. Live by that code daily, in every interaction, every choice, every decision. Let this commitment to yourself radiate through your actions, words, and presence. When you consistently choose yourself, the message becomes undeniable. You are whole, you are strong, and your worth cannot be negotiated. They can't handle your absence because it exposes the truth they ignored. You were the one with value all along. Your silence is louder than any argument. Your distance is sharper than any words. By walking away, you reclaim the power they thought they had over you. Remember, you don't need to explain. You don't need to chase. You don't need to return. Your absence is your shield, your proof of strength, and your path to freedom. If this message resonated, I want you to flood the comments with this affirmation: my absence is my power. And if you're ready to keep building unshakable strength, self-respect, and resilience, subscribe to this channel right now, because your growth is just beginning, and the strongest version of you is still to come.